everyone, it's Nadia from YARNutopia. Today we're making this beautiful, chunky, sporty hat. This is so much fun. We're making a big giant pom on the top. We're using sporty yarn. Obviously I'm using green and gold for my love of the Packers, but you can use any colors that you want. Big thank you to Red Heart Yarns for providing the yarn for this project today. We are using Red Heart Team Spirit Chunky yarn. This comes in 83 yard balls and you're going to need 2 of these. Well, basically like 1.5 of these. So I have 2 balls of this, and this is a super bulky yarn, size 6. So if you can't find this yarn, you can use some type of size 6 yarn. I'm using the green and gold. Fun fact, I was born and raised in Green Bay, therefore my love for the Packers runs deep. So there is the green and gold yarn, but you can use any color yarn that is your favorite team. Hopefully it's the Packers too. You're also going to need a 10mm crochet size hook. So this is the hook I'm using. It's just a plastic hook that I got. I think I got this at Walmart actually. I'll put a link in the description of this video where you can get one, probably on Amazon or something. It's a 10mm hook. I don't actually know the letter of this one. It's not even labeled or anything. So if you know the letter for a 10mm hook, leave me a comment and let everybody know. You're also going to need a scissors and a yarn needle to cut yarn, sewing your piece together and sewing in some ends as well. And then I have my cute little measure tape here because you are going to need to measure some things out, especially if you want to make a different size. Speaking of sizing, this hat is going to fit an adult size head. So it's going to fit my head. It's about 21, almost 22 inches around in circumference like this, and about 10 inches along like this. So you can make this however big or small you want it to be. I will put a link to the chart you can use for sizing on this, and later on in this video I do explain, you know, how wide you need to make it and how long you need to make it for which size you're making. So it doesn't go by stitch counts or anything, it's just measurements on this pattern. We are using slip stitches and a single crochet 2 together stitch to make this interesting stripy pattern. So really cool, and this yarn is striping too. It's dual colored, so it just looks really cool with the dual colored yarn. So those are the information, the supplies, and the sizing you need. Now check out those links in the description of this video, link to the pattern, link to my you know, the blog obviously, but link to my Facebook and Instagram, Snapchat me, all that good stuff. Follow me on Snapchat, you guys. I'm YARNutopia on Snapchat. Big thank you to Red Heart Yarns for providing this yarn. Big thank you to my dad back there for filming this and editing my videos and taking all the photos. They're super fabulous. And thanks to you guys for watching. So let's get started and make this super chunky, sporty hat. Alright, let's start out with a slip knot. So put your short end over your long end, then fold this down and pull your long end through and pull tight, and there's your slip knot. Then insert your hook and we can start. So you'll need to chain any amount that would be the height of your hat. So if you're making like a newborn hat, you just have to chain something that's about 5.5 inches. If you're making like a 3 to 6 month hat, chain something that's 6 inches. A child size hat, chain something that's almost 8 inches. Same with a teen hat, almost 8 inches. And for an adult, chain something that's almost 10 inches, so like 9.5 inches. So I am going to chain 18. So yarn over and pull through 1, that's 1 chain, yarn over, pull through, there's 2, yarn over, pull through, here's 3. Okay, I'm just going to go a little faster. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So you can lay this down and grab your measure tape and make sure that, yep, mine is almost 10 inches. Okay, where this chain is right here and here, that is about, well, right at 10 inches, so that's perfect. So that is how tall of the hat I want for the size, for an adult size. Now, like I said, for the smaller sizes, just chain something that's less, that's shorter for those sizes. So now going on to row 1, what we're going to do is slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. So the loop on the hook doesn't count. So count 1 and 2 right in this chain here. And what I'd like to do is actually turn the chain toward me like this. So you can see these back ridges here, and they're very pronounced here. You can see those back ridges. I'm going to work in those. So count 1 and 2, this chain right here, go into that chain, then yarn over and pull through, and then pull through that loop on your hook, but do not pull too tight. Just leave it loose just like that, and kind of pull up some, give some on your hook there, just like that, kind of like a larger loop. And we're going to slip stitch across. So go into this next chain right here, then yarn over and pull through and through that loop on your hook, and do not pull tight, just pull up some give on your loop there. Okay, then go into the next chain just like this, yarn over, pull through and through. So we're just slip stitching across, but you want them to be loose enough, you know, so you can get your hook in them, because we are going to be working in those for the next row. So just slip stitch in each chain across. At the end of row 1, I will have 17 stitches. So I'm going to do that, and then I will meet you up and we'll go on to row 2. Alright, just finished up row 1 now. Going on to row 2, well, this is what your work should look like. Kind of tight stitches. You can see your slip stitches all the way across there. So going on to row 2, we are going to chain up 1, yarn over, pull through, and then turn the work around. Okay, now you really can't see your stitches very well, but what we're going to do is kind of turn this toward us so you can see your stitches. These will be your stitches. They'll be very pronounced on this side of your work, but when you're looking at the back side, you really can't see them. So you have to kind of turn this forward like this towards you so you can actually see those. And we're just going to work in each stitch, including this very first one right here, where you can't really see, but this one right here. We're going to go right into that first one, okay? Then yarn over and pull through, and pull through the loop on your hook. Okay, but don't pull tight again. So that's just the first stitch. We're slip stitching all the way across here. So kind of pull up some give on your hook there for yarn on your loop, and then go to the next stitch right there, yarn over, pull through and through, kind of pull up, and then go to the next stitch. And we're just slip stitching across, so same amount of stitches. You should have 17 stitches if you're doing the same exact hat as me, or the same amount of stitches as you had for row 1. So I'm just going to slip stitch across here, and then we can go on to row 3. Finishing row 2, just slip stitched across, so very similar to row 1. We are going to chain up 1 and turn our work, and rows 3, 4, and 5 are a repeat of row 2. So just make sure you turn this toward you like this so you can see those stitches. This is the first one here. We're going to go into that stitch and slip stitch. So yarn over, pull through and through. Okay, and then this next one right here. And we're just slip stitching across for rows 3, 4, and 5. So I'm just going to do that, and when I'm finishing row 5, I'll meet you up because row 6 is a little different. Alright, just finished row 5, so this is what your work should look like right now. It is very thick and squishy. It's really nice so far. You could continue your whole hat this way and just do the slip stitching rows as long as you need to for the size hat you're making, but I'm going to change up row 6 now. We're going to chain up 1 and then turn our work around, okay? And for row 6, this is like a single crochet 2 together type of stitch, but we're working in every stitch, and I'll show you the very first stitch right here is going to get a regular single crochet. Okay, that's for every repeat of this row 6. We are going to do the same thing. So row 6 is how it goes. We go a single crochet in this first stitch, so go in, yarn over, pull through, and kind of pull up a little bit, then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, just like that. That is a single crochet. Now for the rest of row 6, we are going to make a single crochet 2 together, but we're going to start working in the previous stitch. So starting in this very first stitch, we're going to go back into that first stitch right there, then yarn over and pull through, but hold those 2 loops on your hook and go directly into the next stitch right here. And then yarn over and pull that through. Okay, so we have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. And that's the stitch. Okay, so we're going to do that again all the way across here. So go into this previous stitch right here, the same stitch that this stitch is worked in right here. Go in, then yarn over, pull through, hold that loop on your hook, go into the next stitch right here, yarn over and pull through. So now we have the 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. Okay, again I'll show you. We're going to go into this previous stitch right here, into that same stitch, then yarn over, pull through, go into the next stitch, yarn over and pull that through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Okay, so this first single crochet is just a base single crochet, so that's going to count as a stitch there. So at the end of this row, we're just going to repeat now these types of stitches all the way across. But don't forget, when we do repeat this row, do not forget to put that first single crochet in there. So I have 4 stitches going right now. We're going to have the 17 stitches at the end. Just make sure that you continue with the same stitch count all the way across every single row. So there, we're going to go in the previous row, or the previous stitch there, and then we're going to go into the very next stitch and finish off this single crochet 2 together stitch. Okay, go into the same stitch right here, yarn over, pull through, go into the next, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay, so I've actually never done anything like this before. It's like kind of a new stitch that I've learned, so I hope you're learning something new as well. It is a single crochet 2 together, but we're just working in the previous stitch so that we have the same amount of stitches at the end of this row, instead of, because usually a single crochet 2 together stitch is decreasing, but we're actually not decreasing. So quite interesting how that's working out. But I'm just going to do this for the rest of the row, and then I'll meet you up for row 7. Alright, finishing row 6, we are just finishing with that last single crochet 2 together stitch, just like that. You should have your same amount of stitches across, and that looks super lovely. So now we're going to go back to slip stitching. So row 7 is a repeat of row 2. We're going to chain up 1, turn the work around, and work in each stitch across, just not single crocheting, slip stitching across. So go in, pull through and through. Next stitch, pull through and through. Just like that, all the way across. So this is the pattern. We're going to do 5 rows of slip stitches, and then the next row will be a repeat of row 6. Okay, so we're basically repeating rows 2 through 7 all the way up until our piece is big enough. Now, for a hat that's going to be an adult size, the one I'm making, I am going to repeat this until my piece is, I'll tell you in just a second here, let me get my pattern out, until my piece is 21 inches. Okay, so I'm going to repeat rows 2 through 7 for until this piece is 21 inches. Now, you actually want to end on a repeat of row 6, because we'll actually be sewing this, we'll be making it long. Here, zoom out just a little bit, yeah. So we'll make this like super long, and then we're actually going to fold it around and sew the 2 ends together. So you want to end on a repeat of row 6 so that row 6 attaches to this row here. Okay, so you just want to do 5 rows of slip stitches, and then this single crochet 2 together row, then 5 rows of slip stitches, and so on and so on. So your piece can be as big as you want it to be. Now for a newborn size, it should be about 13 inches. Okay, it's about 33 centimeters, and I'll have all of this information in my blog, so you can make this, you know, whatever size you need it to be for the head circumference. The head circumference is going to be the length that you need to make this. Okay, this width right here, this length here is supposed to be the height of the hat, okay? So this is actually going to be your forehead to the top crown of your head. Okay, that's the height of your hat, and then the length of this piece, however long we're going to go for this piece, is supposed to be the circumference of your head. So my head is about 21 inches, so I'm going to make this as long as 21 inches. And like I said, though, all the information for the sizing will be in my blog. If you're going to make this, you know, for a child, you should make it about 19 inches, for a teen, about 20 inches. And if you're making it for yourself, you can just measure around your head and make it that size that you need. So I am going to continue working this repeat, and then when I'm finished, I will come back and we'll finish off this hat, and we still have to make a pom. Alright, welcome back. I just finished. I'm doing the repeat of row 6 to end my pattern like I had said. So we're ending on a repeat of row 6. I ended up doing 54 rows total. So to fasten off, we're going to chain 1. We're going to actually cut our yarn quite long actually for sewing. So I'm going to use it for sewing, and we're going to cinch the top of this hat. So let me grab my yarn here. We're gonna just cut it long, and when you chain that one there, you're gonna actually just pull that whole strand then through to fasten that off. So I'll keep pulling, and then we'll use this long strand to sew this all closed. So this is what my piece looks like right now. You can, you know, measure it out. What I ended up doing was stretching this a little bit, just like that, because it's going to stretch around the head. You don't want it to be too loose, so you kind of want to stretch it a little bit to measure it. See, it comes out to be about 20 inches not stretched, but when you stretch it just a tad, it comes to be almost 22 inches, which will actually fit me pretty well, and even be, you know, have room for if I wanted to put my hair in a braid or something. So I mean, it works. It's gonna, you want to stretch it just a little bit, so you don't want it to be like not stretched and then be like the 20 inches or 22 inches or however long you need it to be, because it will still be quite big and it's very stretchy. It's very nice. So this is what the piece looks like. You can see the obvious striping with the slip stitches, and then those single crochet 2 together stitches, and then those slip stitches. Really nice. This is the front of the hat. Now if you flip this to the back, you can see your stitches, those single crochet 2 together stitches, look different. This side is the inside of the hat. This is the back side of your work. So always just make sure that the front side of your work looks like this in each one. Look, each stripe of that looks the same. So that's how it should look. So now what we're going to do is grab our yarn needle and get sewing. So let me get the end of this strand that we just cut to fasten off. We're gonna yarn our needle with that. You want a bigger eye needle like this, a darning needle. And what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to flip this like this to the back. So you're actually looking at the inside of the hat like this. I'm going to sew it together to the inside, okay? And then when we're finished, you know, sewing this closed, and then we're going to cinch up this top like that, make it actually look like a hat. We'll flip it inside or outside right, I guess, the right side out to make it actually look good. So I'm going to fold this in half like this. And I'm just going to do a mattress stitch. You can do a whip stitch if you want, but we're just going to go into the first stitch here from the inside. So you see it's all folded like this. Okay, I'm going to hold it with one hand like this. We're going to go from the inside out. Okay, I have so much yarn here. I'm just going to keep pulling. Okay, so inside out, then go back to the inside and go to the opposite edge and go through that stitch. Inside out. Okay, then continue pulling and pull tight. Then next stitch, inside out. Okay, a whip stitch is if you just continue going through the same side. So if you go round and around and around and around, that's a whip stitch. But this is a mattress stitch. We're going to go from the inside out in the next stitch, and then to the inside out on the next stitch on the opposite side, and just continue that all the way across this piece so that it is sewn shut. Then when I get to the other end of this, I am going to meet you up because we will be cinching the top closed, and then once that's cinched closed, we can put the right side out and then make our pom. Alright, so I got to the last stitch here, and as you can see, this little straggler is still here. If you do have your straggler on this side, you can tie these two in a knot to secure that. But if you don't have it, no big deal at all. You don't have to do that. But now what we're going to do, I'm just going to tie this in a knot real quick, just like that. And then I'll sew in this little straggler later. So now what we're going to do, we have just a big tube right here, okay? Look at that. The seam is like, you can't even tell. It's right there, but I mean, you can barely tell that it's right there. It looks really nice. So now what we're going to do is cinch this top closed. So it's like a big tube right now. We're going to just cinch this all together. Basically, that's how it's going to look. Something like that. So what we're going to do is just go around this edge, and wherever there's an opening, we're just going to go in and then out. Like this, okay? Like every other row. And then just pull. And we're just going across or along this edge here. Okay, so again, I'm just gonna go here, in, then out, in, out, and pull. Ooh, sorry. We're gonna get our yarn tangled here. There we go. Pull tight. And then once you get to a certain point, you can pull it tighter, and you can see that this is going to cinch up like that. Okay? So I'm just going to continue doing that all the way around this edge. Go in, and wherever your needle, fits, you can just go through a bunch of these rows and then pull. Okay, and just continue. So I'm going to do that all the way around this edge here, and then once I'm going to cinch it closed, I'll meet you up. I'll show you how to fasten this all off, and then we can go on to finally making that pom. Alright, so I'm back to the beginning where this little straggler is. So you can see I started cinching it. All we just have to do is just kind of just pull this tight and tighter until it is completely closed. And it's going to take some strength, so, I mean, you got this. Just continue pulling, but try not to break your yarn. Just keep pulling. Okay, just like that. Awesome. I don't want to break my yarn. If I break my yarn on camera, that'll be so embarrassing. So, there. I think that's as close as we're going to get it. But that pom is going to cover that, so don't worry. If you have just a little bit of a little hole in there, no big deal. But you can try to cinch it as closed as you can make it. Okay, and then again, you can tie it to this little straggler if you wanted to. Or you can tie it in a knot around a stitch or something. That helps. That helps to close it a little better. There we go. And tie this in another knot. Perfect. Now we're going to cut that short, let go of that, and then sew in these ends. Just yarn your needle with those two strands there. And then just go in a few of the stitches just to hide that. And then what we're going to do is put this inside or outside right, I guess. Cut any extra you might have and then flip it out just like that. Wow. Looks fabulous so far. Got to make a super giant pom to make it like really nice, but that looks good so far. Awesome. You can see my seam there. But not too bad. I mean, it looks fine. We'll just make that the back of the hat, and it looks much better up here. So cool. Okay, so now I'm going to set this aside. Let me grab that palm maker. I don't know if you guys remember seeing the boho palm hat, though, I just made recently. My dad made me this palm maker that's super fabulous. Somebody was actually wrote to me online and was like, how big is that palm maker? Well, let's measure it together. I believe it's 6 inches across, 6.5 inches. Wow. It's 6.5 inches across. He made it. That's 17 centimeters. And then this cardboard portion over here is about 2 inches, which is about almost 6 centimeters. It's about 5 centimeters. Okay, so that's how big the palm maker my awesome dad made me, but you guys can make any type of palm maker that you have, or you can buy a legit palm maker. I will put a link in the description of this video for you to buy an actual palm maker, like on Amazon or something. Okay, so what we're going to do is take our yarn, and we are going to have the edge here, okay, and we're just going to wrap and wrap and wrap. And just keep wrapping. We're just going to become wrappers. Just kidding. Horrible dad joke. But you get it. We're just going to wrap all the way around this piece, all the way till we get to here. And you can wrap as much as you want. The more you wrap, the bigger of palm you're going to get. So that's up to you. But you can make a super large palm. And once I have wrapped all the way around this palm maker, I will show you. We're going to cut our yarn and tie this together and make our huge palm and then attach it to our hat. Alright, so I wrapped this all the way around as many times as I wanted to. You can see that's how it looks. I kind of wrapped it a little more on this side, but no big deal. It's going to look fabulous. So what we're going to do now is trim this, just like that. Make sure this end is also on the same side of that. It doesn't matter if it's too long or whatever. We can trim these down later. So now what you need to do is grab your yarn from your ball of yarn and take part of it and slip it through these two cardboards. Just like that. Okay, and then pull one side out like this. And then what we're going to do is kind of trail it along. We're going to keep this in here and kind of put our finger inside of there and then cut these yarns around. It's best to do this on a table where it is easy to capture everything and keep it all secure. We're just going to trim along between the two cardboard pieces. And if you can't get it all of it, there we go. It's a lot of yarn. This is going to be a huge palm, you guys. Oh my gosh. Okay, then what we're going to do is just trail this along here, keeping everything secure. Kind of keep your hand on top of it so that no loose ends, you know, fly out or have it fall apart. And we're just going to continue doing this all the way around. So I'm going to do that, and then once I have this all the way cut all the way around, I'll meet you up because then I'll show you how to tie the two ends together. Alright, so I just finished cutting, sorry, we're going to tie this now. So I just finished cutting all my strands. Don't let them loose, don't let them loose. What we're going to do now is come between the two pieces of cardboard like this, anywhere really, with your two ends, and we're going to cut this like that. Just cut them too long, just like that, and pull them tight, okay, between the two cardboards. And as you can see there, we're going to tie these two in a knot, a tight, tight, tight knot. So just slide this like that and just pull super tight. You can get rid of the cardboards if you need to be able to see. It's best to have, if you have an extra finger or something that can hold this, it's nice, but if you don't, you can use your own finger. Just make sure you tie it super tight. Use that super strength that you used when you were cinching the top of your hat. How about that? And then there you go, tie it in a knot, make sure it's pretty good, and then hold those two strands together because you're actually going to use that to sew it to the hat. But this is what it looks like. It looks like trash right now, but we're going to fix that. So we're going to give it a little bit of a haircut. So we're just going to trim, and you can trim however much you need to make it look good. And I have a lot of trimming to do, oh my goodness. So I'm just going to give it a little haircut. And you don't want to cut too much. You don't want it to be a small pom. We made it big for a reason, to make it stand out, have a statement. So I'm just going to give this little guy a trim, and then once we are looking good and fresh, we're going to sew this to our hat. Alright, so my pom is not the most perfect, but it looks pretty good. It's pretty round now. Looks nice and fluffy. It's actually really big. Look at it, fits in my hand. It's huge. So now we're going to take those two long strands and sew them to the top of our hat, just like this. How fabulous! So what we're going to do is take one strand on our needle here, our yarn needle, okay, and we're going to put it into the hat, okay, on one side of it. You can see my fingers going through that hole from the inside, but we're just going to go into one side of it, one side of the hole there, and then I'm going to grab the other strand and do the same thing. Just yarn the needle and go into the other side. So this one's on this side, so we're going to go on the opposite side into the hat, just like that. And then we're going to look in the hat, okay, and take those two strands, okay, and we're going to tie them in a knot and tight, okay, and again, and you can do a double or triple knot, totally up to you, but just pull it tight. And then go back out to the outside, fluff it up, make sure it's secure. It looks secure to me. That's a really nice hat. Awesome. Now we just have to do one last thing and sew in these ends so that they are hidden on the inside of our hat. There we go. That is some really thick yarn. Okay, so just go into underneath a few stitches. Oh my goodness, that is some thick yarn. Okay. And then back through some stitches. And again. There we go. And then cut any extra that you may have. And there it is. How fun. Alright, so I tried this on, and this edge actually needs to come in just a little bit, so if you want to end here, you can, and if your hat fits you, that's great. But if you want to add a little bit of extra embellishment, what we can do at the edge of this piece, once it's all done and you try it on, and you still want to make a little, like a brim area, I'm just going to attach my hook to right where my seam is back here, in the back of the hat, and I'm going to hook on my yarn and pull that through, and we're going to just clean up this edge here. So let's chain one, and we're going to single crochet around, and wherever your hook fits is where you should single crochet. So go in, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, then go into this next spot. I'm going to crochet over this straggler so I don't have to sew it in later. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Okay, next spot right here. Like I said, wherever your hook fits is where you should single crochet if you want to make this brim on this hat. I will put this in the written pattern, so you can single crochet around the edge, and then I'll meet you up when I'm finishing this round. When you come back around to the beginning here, we're going to slip stitch to this first stitch right here, the first single crochet. So go in, yarn over, pull through, and through. Now what we're going to do is chain up one, and you can do as many rows of this as you want around the brim here. We're going to work in the back loops only, so normally we'll work in both loops. Like throughout this whole pattern I was showing you both loops, both loops, both loops. The loop that's furthest away from you is called the back loop. Okay, this loop right here is the back loop. The loop that's in front is called the front loop, which we're going to leave, so we're not going to even worry about those. We're just going to work in those back loops and work in the same stitch that you just slip stitched into. So go into this back loop of this first stitch, then yarn over, oh, there's a hair here, sorry guys, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, then go to the next one, back loop only, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And the next stitch in the back loop only, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're just single crocheting all the way around, just like that, and then we'll slip stitch to the first single crochet, just like I showed you here, and then we'll chain 1 and work the same thing as many times as you want. I'm probably going to do 2 or 3 of these, and then you can see here, this line here is going to be pronounced, and then there'll be one there, and then one in the next one. So I'm going to do this probably 2 more times, so actually there's going to be 3 single crochet rounds like this, and I'll see how it looks at that point. I might do more, I don't know. So I'll meet you up when I've finished though. We're going to slip stitch to the first single crochet and we'll be able to fasten off, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'll do as many rounds as you want of this, just slip stitch to the first single crochet when you come back around, then chain 1 and work in the back loops only and single crochet around, and that's it. So I'm going to do that and then I'll meet you up when I'm finished. Also, I'm sorry, I just want to show you another thing. If you feel like your brim of your hat is too wide, like this, like kind of belling out, you can decrease a few stitches in here just by doing a single crochet 2 together stitch, just like that. Like how I showed you in this pattern, except going into the next stitch, then yarning over, pulling through, go into the next stitch after that, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And if you do enough of these around, it will decrease to the measurement that you need. It will cinch it kind of tighter around the forehead. So you can do that, you know, once or twice or even 3 times on this round, and maybe on the next round do it once or twice just to see if it does cinch in just a little bit. But you do not have to do that at all. You can, if yours fits you and it looks good, you don't have to single crochet 2 together or decrease at all. So that's just a little tip though if you want to do that. But I'm just going to work these rounds and then I'll meet you up when I'm finished. Alright, so I ended up doing 3 more rounds here. I'm going to slip stitch to the first stitch, and then I'm going to fasten off. So remember how I showed you earlier to chain 1 and then cut your yarn and then pull that all the way through and pull it tight. Now you can see here we did around the hat part, then I did 2, 3, and 4 rounds total around this thing, and I did end up having to cinch it. You can see a single crochet 2 together stitch there, and I did a few more in this project in these rounds. I did down to, I had like 40 stitches around, and I ended up decreasing to almost 30 stitches. So I ended up decreasing quite a bit just so that it does cinch around the forehead and it looks good. So now I'm just going to kind of sew in this end and be done. But I just want to say thank you to you for watching. Make sure to check out that, you know, the written pattern will have all the information about this rim and everything and different things you can do with this pattern to make it different sizes and all that good stuff. So make sure you check out YARNutopia.com. Make sure you subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. Thank you so much for all your support, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Happy hooking, everyone!